Okay, once the add-on is downloaded, the first thing we have to do is create the decks where the kanji cards are being sent to later on. And I think for most people the best solution is to create 2 decks, one for recognition and one for production. So that's what I'm going to do first. Okay, with this step done, you can see I also put them in the same main deck, so I like it this way better. It's a little bit more organized, but you can do it in whatever way you want, and you also don't have to call them production and recognition. That's up to you. And the next step after we create those decks is just to connect them to the add-on. For this you have to go over here to Migaku, down to Kanji settings, and then over to recognition first. Click here, the button on the top. And then you can select the deck you want to put those cards in. In this case for the recognition cards, so we will choose the recognition deck. Then next over to production. Same thing, click on the button here on the top and select the deck. And with this, the decks are connected with the add-on. So for the next step we are going to do the setup so that the add-on automatically creates the cards that are in the queue of your beginner deck. I already downloaded a deck, as you can see over here, the Japanese Core 2000 deck. And what you have to make sure, and this obviously depends on what kind of deck you are using, is what kind of cards are in this deck and what fields do you have to tell the add-on to look for. For example, I can show you for this deck. If we go over here, you can see that they have 2 note types, vocabulary and sentence, and each of them has some different cards. Like here the vocabulary one has listening, production and reading cards, and the sentence ones have 2 listening and reading. So all of those have to be registered in the add-on itself for this to work. So obviously, depending on what kind of deck you are using, you have to look in the browser what fields you have to register. And obviously also look in the cards itself. In this card type, for example, we have to take the expression field, because this is basically the front of the card, what we are going to see. So the kanji in here are the ones we want to learn with the add-on. So now that we know this, we can start registering it with the add-on. For this, as before, go over here to Migaku, to settings, and then the first thing is going to be on the first side. This is where we are going to have to register all the fields, and as we've seen before, we will need a few of them. So first, let me pick out the necessary fields. So as you can see, I've registered them all. We had 2 different types for the sentence card format and 3 different types for the vocabulary format. And all of them look at the expression field. So the first is the note type. As I said, we have 2 in this case, but if the deck you are using has only 1, then obviously you'd only need to register that one. And then the different card types, they have 2, so listening and reading. And for the vocabulary we had 3, and all of them look at the expression field, because the expression field is the one we will see on the front. As I said before, this obviously depends on what kind of beginner deck you are using and what the cards in this deck are. So next, we go over to recognition. Make sure in the beginning that over here this is checked, automatically create cards for unknown primitives. Same for production if you want to do production, obviously. Then you will have to go down here, click Add, and select the deck you want to use. In this case, it's the Core 2000 deck. And then set the learner head count to whatever you want. The learner head count is basically how many cards in the future the add-on is looking. So for now, it's looking at the next 25 cards that will appear in the queue of this deck. And as I said, we can do the same for production. And if we now close the settings, it adds the cards automatically. So there we are. And if you're wondering why there's such a discrepancy between production and recognition, because my stats are still registered, I had to manually unmark a few kanji so that you can see in this example how it worked. So for you, the number should be the same if you don't have any other kanji already learned. And with this, the deck is registered, and when you notice that there aren't any more cards appearing, but there should be, and you feel like something is missing, you can just quickly open the settings and close them again, and it should create the next card. So if there seems to be a problem, just open and close the settings quickly, and this should fix it. Now next we want to register our deck for the automatic card creation for new kanji in cards you add yourself. So if you start mining, the add-on will automatically scan the cards you are newly adding to the decks you have, and if there is a kanji in there that you haven't learned yet, be it recognition or production, it would automatically add the necessary cards. Pretty much same as before, just with every card you add instead of ones from a pre-made deck. So to set this up, first we have to go back again to the settings. Okay, first thing on the main page, we have to register the card type we are going to use. And if it's one of our own card types, then you can obviously just leave it as it is. But if we are using another card type, you'll have to register it. Same as before, you can just add it. And for the example, I will use the basic card type that is already in Anki itself. Next, we go to the recognition tab. And then here you have to make sure that automatically create kanji cards for online kanji in newly added cards is checked. This one is important. And if you want to make sure that you really want to add those cards to your deck, you can also check the one below, which is confirm kanji cards that get added automatically, because if you uncheck this, then it will automatically add all those cards. But if you check it, you will get a window that will let you decide if you want to add those or not, or if you just want to mark them known or whatever you want to do with them. You'll have to do the same for the production card. So for this, for example, I have it checked off, but if you wanted to add recognition and production cards at the same time, you'd have to check this here. And just to test it out, I'll show you an example. And here it warns us, hey, there are new kanji you have to add. Obviously, as I said before, or as you've seen in the field, I only added Hanashi. But since I've already unmarked all the other components of it, it also wants to add those as well, because you'd have to learn them first before you learn the final kanji. And here you can choose whatever you want to do. You can leave them at this as it is right now, and it will automatically add them. If you set them all to blue, it will set them as marked, but not add a card. And for red, they will be ignored. And like that, the cards are added. Okay, so next and last we will go over the ways you can register cards you've already learned or kanji you already know. And there are quite a few ways you can go about it. I will go with the easiest one, or they're all pretty much easy, but I'll just start with one that doesn't involve any big settings. You go over here to Migaku, then down to mark kanji as known. And here you have a few options. You can just copy and paste a set of kanji you have in here, and then press OK, and it will automatically mark all those as known for recognition or production, whatever you want. Or you can also just select from the drop-down menu here below a set that you want. So for example, we can say JLPT, and we can set it to from 5 to 5, meaning it will load, when I click here, it will load all kanji that are required for the JLPT 5, and those are the necessary kanji. If you want to have more, you can just change this, and now it will load all from N5 to N4 to 3 and so on. And then after you click OK, they will be marked as known for whatever you selected at the top. So the next option is to register cards that you have in another deck that are of a different format, so not of the cards created from the add-on, but from a different kind you've downloaded from Anki Web or so, and can register them so that the add-on still recognizes them. I can show you before and after. If you go over here and then to Kanji stats, you can see for production, because I tried something, so there's a card, so you're not wondering. So everything is red, meaning no cards are here for those kanji. Close them, and then we're gonna go over here, Migaku, go to Kanji settings, and then we have it once for recognition and one for production. Let's do it for recognition for now. Production is the same. Go over here, and then down below you can add a card type, and this time it's called Hyacinth's RTK 6th edition best. The card type is only one this time, and then you have to select the field in which the kanji is. So select this here, close it, and if we go back to stats, you can see everything turned orange, meaning that now there are a lot of cards we haven't learned yet. If you see over here, red means there is no card, orange, there is an unstudied card. But we can also turn the cards that come from this deck into the cards created by our add-on, just to show you before and after. So those are the cards before, and let's turn them around. You go in the browser, select the deck, and then select all the cards you want to convert. So for most of you this will probably be all cards. Once you have them selected, go over here to edit, and then you don't need create kanji cards, but this is also an option. Could mark them all as known, also an option. But what we are going to do now is convert selected nodes to Migaku kanji cards. Click here, then the first drop down menu you have to select the field in which the kanji is, which in this case is called kanji, and then what kind of card you want to create. So in this case we'll create a recognition card, and we only have one card type, so we select this one. If you already have used this deck for a while and you have some custom keywords or custom stories, you can also take them with you, and for this you just have to select the field in which those custom stories or keywords are in those drop down menus down below. But I don't have any, so I don't have to select anything, and then afterwards just click OK. Okay, and they're created. So if you're wondering, it takes a while. I cut out a little bit in here so you don't have to look at the screen all the time. It takes a few seconds for this to convert. So if we now go over to recognition, there are all the cards, and as we can see, they are turned into our card type. That's it. Okay, now that the setup is done, we can talk about other functions in the add-on that are nice to know. Everything should be working now, and this I will show you in my personal account, so just that we have some words on our kanji cards and you can see what it looks like. And we will start with the stats. In the stats window you can see all your kanji organized by recognition, production and registered fields. So here I can see how many kanji I know when it comes to recognition, and the same works for production as well. In the drop-down menu on top you can switch between different categories. So for example, right now it's set to JLPT, so I can see from the kanji that are necessary for each JLPT level how many of them do I know. And the same for kanji, for kanken, school year, and so on and so forth. So if we take one, let's go back to recognition. Then we have the different colors for our kanji. So we have this dark blue means this kanji is mature, meaning the card I have learned this kanji from has an interval of 21 days or above. The next type is, do we have it here? Yes, we have some. The next type is here, this light blue, and this is basically you have a card for this kanji, you also have it already learned, but the interval isn't over 21 days, so it's below 21 days. The next one are those orange ones, and that's basically you have a card, but you haven't learned it yet. And red is you don't have a card, and you also haven't learned it yet, obviously. The next function in the stats window is you can mark individual kanji as known or unknown. To do this, simply hover over kanji, press shift and then click. So this one is now marked as unknown. And if I want to turn it back on so that I know this kanji, I can just shift click again. Another useful function from here is if you want to look up a specific kanji because it looks interesting or for whatever reason, you can just simply click on here and it automatically opens the kanji in the lookup tool. And I will give you a better example than this one. So as you can see, if we look up a word, then it doesn't only look up the first kanji or so, it breaks them down and you have both at the same time. But for example's sake, I will just use this one. So what do we see on here? In the top left corner, we have our stroke order diagram, and you can turn the stroke order on and off if you don't want to. And in the settings, there are some additional options where you can change the behavior of this stroke order diagram. And then down below you have the buttons. You can just play around with it a little bit, how it behaves. Exactly. Okay, then down below this we have some tags. So basically to see where this kanji is used. For example, as you can see, this is a JRPT N5 kanji, but it's also used in a Kanken level 9 and so on. Then you have your onyomi, kunyomi and nanori. On the top right we have the kanji written in different fonts, and you can also change those fonts in the settings. So if you have another font that you would rather use than one of those, then you can just change it. Down below we have our keyword and the meaning. The keyword can be changed when you click on set custom keyword or set custom story. Then below this we have our vocabulary, and vocabulary is basically a collection of all your cards. So if you have a lot of sentence cards, it will collect all the words you have learned and show them in here. And we have three types of those. We have the blue ones as they are here, as you can see here, and this is basically words I have already learned. Then if we go down below, you can see this is the next type. It's has just a blue outline, and this means I have a card for this, but I haven't learned the card yet. And the next category would be words in gray, and gray means I don't have a card for this, but it's just an example word, so you can see what the kanji is used in, what other words it is used in. Then even further down below we have primitives, primitive in, and radicals. If you're looking for a kanji in the dictionary, then they are sorted by radicals, so you look up, you have a radical search basically. Primitives is a little bit more of is a different concept, is more used or often comes from RTK, and we also have a small explanation in here if you want to look it up, but that's not that important right now. And primitive in basically tells you this kanji itself, in what other kanjis is it used as a component. So as you can see, all of them have shoku in some form, here down below, here to the left, so that you have a little bit better connection with the kanji itself and can see where else it is used. You can also just hover over them, and as you can see, get the keyword and the meaning of those. Then for cards, even further down below, we have show production card, at least it says right now show production card, or unmarked recognition as known. Here those buttons change, so if you don't have a card for a specific kanji, they will say create card, so create recognition card and create production card. If you have a card created, then it changes to show production card or show recognition card, and you can just simply click on them to open the card So this is my production card that I have in my deck. And if you want to, same functionality basically as in the settings, in the stats window, you can also shift and then click on one of those buttons, and it will automatically mark the kanji. Or in this case, you can even unmark it if you've already marked it as known. So for example, for this kanji, I don't have a recognition card, and I marked it manually, and I could then just reverse this if I wanted to. So, and next I'll show you the cards as they look in action. Okay, so, and here we are. This is a production card. So as you can see, on the front of the production card, you have the keyword as well as words that use it, with the kanji itself obviously not being shown. So if you want, your goal here would be to write the kanji from memory. Obviously, you can also change settings for this. For example, I always turn off the keyword because I just want to write it from the words down below, but this is up to you, and you can just look through the settings and try out a little bit what you like best. And on the back side, it's basically a normal card as you've seen before, the same as they look in the lookup browser. Okay, and here we have a recognition card. On the front of the card you see the kanji, and your goal while reviewing would be to come up with the meaning of the word or of the kanji. And if we turn it around, you can also see another feature of the cards. You can add pictures. There's a custom data field, and you can add pictures to this. So for example, this is a kanji for a fish, and so I added a picture of a fish because it's just a little bit more memorable. And also, as you can see, for this one, for example, I used my own keyword instead of the given one, but that is up to you. You don't have to change this. You can use the old keyword or whatever you want. In this case, like I said, Japanese, because it's a little bit more memorable for me. And that's basically it. So those are the cards we have, and that's how they function. So we have one way on the front side, you have the keyword and the words, or some example words, and you have to write the kanji from memory. And the recognition cards are the other way around. You have the kanji on the front side, and you have to come up with the keyword.